All right, this is Mark Besser, better known as BM3 from Stream Snipe Division. Welcome to the pod. Go Hood.
It was Gilbert Hughes, Gunner's Mate, 1987, 1990.
BM2 SIP, First Division, Stream Division, Celebrity. Hey, somebody might pick me up for a radio associate or something. I don't know. And I work for the best boatswain in the United States Navy, Boatswain Johnson. Sorry, Rich.
This is BM3 Strata and Division, 5 years in the hood. Enjoy my time with my hoodlums right here. Can't get any better than this. We'll keep on doing it until we die. That's the way it is.
We missed you, Danny Serrano.
This is IC2SW Garlington, the USS Mount Hood, 1987 and 1989. Tune into this week's podcast. This is not a request.
Got BM2 Harris on the set. Everybody listen to the podcast. We here, smoking, drinking, eating, having a good time.
Smoking and drinking.
Like us hoodlums always do.
Got DC3 on the set, you know, from 87 to 90.
The hood was always hard.
The boys in the hood is always hard.
And everybody else in the Bay, y'all should have came out. Y'all missing out.
Welcome to AEC Stories. This is former SM3 Dempsey of the USS Mount Hood podcast. And this is one of our umpteenth episodes, probably episode number 29 or 30, depending on the release dates. But I've got Raymond Lopez from the Mount Hood, and welcome aboard, shipmate.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Dempsey. How are you today?
I'm good, man. And we were just saying, you've been listening to the podcast.
I have. They're quite interesting, and they have brought back some fond memories, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's like from the other side. I kind of do, because I'll listen to them too after I do them, because somehow I erase them in my brain. Like my brain goes, boop. It's just like I looked at a YouTube video and it's over. And then I have to listen to it again later. And if I wait a couple of days, I actually enjoy them like, oh, what were they talking about? But it was me.
Like kind of listening to it for the first time all over again.
Yeah. What have some of your favorite ones been so far?
The most recent one I listened to was Brother Terry Krause. Shout out to Terry up in Iowa. I listened to Zemer. What's going on, Zemer? If you're listening, I listened to Hillebrand. Listened to.
You got some down there.
Yeah. Oh, dang it. What was it? His name escapes me. You just had him on.
D'Angelo?
No.
The one. Are you talking about what era was it? What era of the Mount Hood was it in? The best way to jog your memory. You're
yeah.
Point.
Geo. I listened to Geo. I listened to gosh darn it. His name escapes me. Dennis.
Okay. Yeah, there was definitely some good ones on there, man.
Yeah. First off, I want to reach out to all the brothers and sisters, all my shipmates, and everyone else. Want to wish you all a happy Veterans Day. It's coming up this week, so happy Veterans Day, you all. It's a privilege and an honor serving with you guys.
Yeah, that's an honest, true message right there.
Yes, sir.
So, how did you? What year did you join the Navy?
1988.
1988. Now, were you considering any other form of service, or what was your entry to the military like?
I was contemplating joining the Marines. Because I was working in construction with a friend of mine that was a former Marine. He's a Vietnam era Marine, and kind of brainwashed me. You know, I come from a long line of Navy. A Navy family. My grandfather was a Navy guy. He's World War II.
Oh wow!
I have an uncle that was he was on the USS Belknap, and then he went to the USS New Jersey. He was actually on the Jersey during the Beirut issue, so they were deployed to there.
Wow.
And then, my brother, we served briefly at the same time, but he was stationed down in San Diego on the Constellation. So we got together one time while we were both down in San Diego for a weekend. I caught a Mac flight out of Alameda and flew down there, and it was an interesting weekend. I wasn't quite 21 yet, and it was an election time in Mexico, so it was kind of forbidden to go down during the election time because they don't do no partying during election times down there. To come certain times and certain elections, they tend to become kind of violent. So we didn't go down there, and since I was not 21 yet, well, my brother got to go party, and I stayed in the hotel.
Here's an Atari.
Yeah,
we got you some Diet Pepsi and a couple of cherry pops, and here's some chips, bro.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I stayed on. I think it was at a hotel on base. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Sounds like a wild time. I mean, you missed out
Absolutely.
on Tijuana there.
Yeah.
Good old Tijuana. That's a wild place. I remember going down there.
Yeah, I never partied there. Never partied there.
You never made it there, huh?
Nope.
Wow.
Yeah,
I went there with the Mount Hood. We were down for Ref Tray. I think maybe before you get on the ship. Depending.
Yeah, it was before. It was before.
Just before you get on board. Did you pick Boatswain Mate, or were you going in for something else, or how did that go for you to get that rating?
Once I got on board the ship, and I got a taste of the life of deck, there was no going anywhere else. That's where I was going to be. Yep.
You just loved it.
Yes, I loved it.
That's pretty awesome. A lot of guys are like, what the hell am I doing here? I want to become a shopkeeper or a yeoman or something.
No, that was me. I mean, I liked being outdoors. I liked the physical work. At times I liked the physical work. And there was always something different and challenging to do. Depending on when I first got on board, I reported to First Division. Senior Chief Heights was our senior chief up there, and I had BM1 White as a LPO, and the gentleman that walked me around introducing me to everybody was our lead seaman, and a future bosun was Rich Williams. So he was the one that actually walked me around and introduced me to everybody.
So where did you go to boot camp? What area?
I went to Great Lakes, and nobody told me how to dress when I left Kansas. I'm originally from Kansas. So I showed up in November, late part of November, with a jean jacket.
Nice.
Yeah. I would not recommend that.
I showed up with a ski jacket. I was coming down from Canada, and I joined in Vermont, came through Canada, was living in Canada, joined in Vermont, flew out of New Hampshire. It was already winter there.
Yeah.
So I arrived, unlike you, from Kansas. I was ready to rock, but there was a lot of guys in T-shirts with confused looks on their face.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did you find when you flew in there, was it late at night when they got you in? Because this seems to be the theme of the boot camps here.
Yes. I flew in very, very late, and it was already dark, and really, really early in the morning when I got to the Recruit Training Command, RTC, and met by our wonderful, what do you call them? The welcoming committee?
Yeah. They started using those strange words on you. Stand by the bulkhead.
Well, a lot of that terminology, a lot of the terminology I already knew. So yeah, a lot of that stuff wasn't foreign to me. The yelling and stuff. Well, hey, if you're an active teenager and curious, you're going to get yelled at anyway. And I mean, that was a time in the air, and it's like, why is that guy yelling? I ain't done nothing wrong yet. Give me some time.
I was sitting there. I remember, this is making me think, going in there late at night. I had been drinking. Someway was great at hustling people to get me drinks, even though I was underage. So I got there a little hazed. And, the way that airport is in O'Hare, I walked past the USO. I think I walked past the muster like 3 times in a big circle, going around that airport in a big circle 3 times.
Yeah, I don't really recall that, because I think all that part was just kind of like a haze. You're just following, everybody else at that time. You're just like not paying attention. You're just following where the next guy's going and hoping he's right.
I don't know. I didn't run into any guys that I knew or anything. I remember being on the bus on the way to, the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
And I wasn't afraid. I was like tired, coming off my buzz, going, okay, here comes the long thing I have to endure, whatever it may be. Garbage cans flying across the floor.
Right.
Yelling.
Right.
Okay,
right.
This is all normal. I'm ready for this. And
right.
There was a bunch of guys. There was like some guys that thought they were real alpha males. Or, oh, yeah, man. Yeah, I'm a badass. So they're all like trying to put up this false bravado.
Right.
And then we get in there, and it was that long, enduring, freezing late night thing of getting your clothes, learning to use a stencil, giving you instructions while your eyes are glazing over to get all your gear. You remember that?
Yeah. I think it was like 2 days later. We were still running around in our Seabees.
Really?
A couple days. Yeah. They didn't strip us of all that just on the first or second day. We were still running around in our Seabees.
Oh, wow. We were suited up the first night, man. They gave us everything, took our civvies away.
Yeah.
Urinalysis. A couple guys get clipped real quick.
The urinalysis happened right away. Right. I think that was right after the phone call home, where they said, don't say nothing. Tell them you're home and you're there, and you hang up. That's it.
That's about it.
And then the urinalysis right after that.
Yeah. It was,
that part I remember.
I just remember I was going to go into dark, cold nights for quite a while. That's what I could tell.
Yeah.
I remember being woken up. It wasn't that big of an excitement, but, your whole mind was get sleep while you can. Did you get that mindset too? Like,
oh yeah.
When you get to sleep, go to sleep. Just go to sleep. Don't fuck around.
Yep. You sleep when you got time to sleep, and when you can, sneak in a couple of winks here and there. And then those, I always remember that book that you have, and you write all the information from everything. You write it all down, and then while you're standing in line, not sleeping or whatever, you're reading and studying that so you can pass your next test.
There was you remember we get all those stencils? We had to have our stencil.
Oh yeah,
and the white pens and
the white pen,
we had to write our name. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably some guys that wrote on their shirt with white stencil.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know we had a couple of rocks in our, that did that. The black ones, the black stencil pen belonged on your dungaree shirts, and the white belongs on your dungaree pants. I knew some guys that even put their names on the front of their pockets, thinking that those were the back pockets.
Hey, just let me check my front pocket, pull the name out for you.
Yeah, I think every company had those guys that you knew you could just look at them and say, this guy ain't gonna make it.
There were some guys that had a big look of confusion, but it was interesting because I haven't hit on this on any other podcast, but I'm just digging in it with you as I remember, because we both went to Great Lakes, and I'm thinking about it now that it's getting wintertime here. We've went through the time change.
Right.
And the nights are darker quicker, and it reminds me of going into boot camp.
Right.
And there was, we get lined up for chow or rush through chow real fast, grab what you can, go what you can. I'm like, okay, and eat, everybody get up. Let's go. Let's march.
That's it. Yeah.
And then let me take you for another 4-hour long eye glazing lecture, and don't you dare fall asleep.
Yeah. Well, it's like 80 degrees in the room.
You find yourself in this totally, discombobulated situation. You're like, I know my right from my left, but damn, are they trying to confuse me? put it on your right, but not on your left, but put it on your right. You know, you're like, what? What did he just say?
Right.
And then everybody's like doing it opposite, and then he yells at you, and everybody's doing push-ups again.
Exactly. Yeah. The lacing of the boondockers was the trip to me. It's like, really? Don't you think this is just a little bit anal where you've got to lace your shoes right over left, left over right, right over left, left over right? So,
I mean,
everything has it's a reason for that.
Well, maybe it's like in the prior podcast talking to Teresi, he talks about a guy that showed up that never had any shoes before. This is his first pair of shoes.
Right.
You know,
right.
You know, the guy that was, what do you call him? Caveman Bob, whatever.
Yeah. They're just backwoods.
Well, it was interesting. You're there with 100 people. Now you have 100 lives, 100 different attitudes, some afraid, some cocky, some know-it-alls, some looking to scam or do something fucked up and get everybody in trouble.
Oh, yeah. We definitely had our share of those. Had our share of those. And they were, I think it was kind of the unwritten rule where you are supposed to teach those people the way it's supposed to be. Whenever the company commanders aren't around, I don't know what, you give them people a little bit extra attention as a company to make sure that they don't make those same mistakes again. That's going to make you have to do more push-ups, So I'm not exactly sure what we used to call that.
Oh, you're talking about blanket parties.
Well, I don't think those allegedly kind of happen. Those we don't know yet.
They allegedly might have happened. I know. Yes. I know that one of our shipmates was talking about those D'Angelo. I don't think any happened in my company. There's a lot of guys that popped off like they were tough, but they're like, "Yeah, you hit me. You're going to the brig with the Marines." I'm like, I grew up with the Marine, so you're telling me I have to hang out with my dad?
Yeah,
okay.
Really.
What's the novelty here, bud? But I grew up in military culture, but most of these guys, you watched them change and you watched it come together. And it was just some dark, cold nights doing snow watch, if you recall.
Yes.
Did you have to do that too?
No. I was in boot camp. I was a platoon leader. So
there you go.
Yeah, I didn't get to do that. I mean, we did other things. We were responsible for other guys in our platoon. You know how they used to break you up into little platoons, and you were, you had to be responsible for certain people and your platoon and that type of thing. So yeah, I was fortunate in that part.
We had a guy. This guy was weird. He wanted to go in submarines. He thought he was hot shit, and his name was Kava. I remember his last name, Kava. And this guy would do stuff to get us in trouble to look like he would smoke cigarettes in the showers at night. And, when the smoking lamp wasn't lit, right?
Uh-huh.
And then he would tell the drill instructor, company commander, what do you call him? Yeah.
Company commander.
Yeah. Tell the company commander, hey, I caught these guys smoking right now. I think they should be punished. It was him.
Wow.
So he got us extra EMI, extra military instruction, extra PT, getting us in trouble for the sins he committed, kind of like a crazy guy like Dexter or something, or Hannibal Lecter. Right. This dude, something came up on his record where they go, "You're not going to be able to go in the submarines. Matter of fact, you're out of here." Something came up. He get kicked out.
Wow.
Yeah, he was totally kiss ass. I'm the guy. I got this made. It was entertaining to see that happen. And I don't know.
Wow.
What else do you remember, if anything, from boot camp? You make any friends there?
Not really. Not really. I think we had one guy on board the ship that I was in boot camp with. He was a EM bowsman.
Okay.
Yeah, we were in boot camp together. But for the most part, no, not really. I mean, it was pretty much, I'm getting in, doing what I got to do, and I'm getting out to the fleet. My main thing was I wanted to know where I was going. My whole thing is I wanted to go to California, and I wanted to try to make it to San Diego, where my brother was. So when I got my orders, I seen Concord. And I'm thinking, Concord? So I'm looking on the map. Concord, I've heard of Concord. Concord, North Carolina. Why am I going to Concord, North Carolina? I have no idea. And I started looking at my orders a little closer, and I'm like, that's not Carolina. That's Concord, California. Where in the heck is that at? So I started looking for that, and I'm like, what's up there? What's a AE?
It sure isn't Surftown, USA, like I thought I was going to.
Yeah, it's podunk. It's you get there and it's like, what in the world? You can't even walk on the base. So this is what it's like. It's then you get there and it's like, where's the town at? There's no town.
Wait, I can't walk off the base to go on Liberty, so I have to wait for a van.
And then you get to the
laundromat or the BART, right?
Right, or Taco Bell or 7-Eleven.
Big turnout there. The party zone.
Yeah. Or if you felt like it, then you could hike 2 or 3 miles to the mall.
Oh, Sun Valley.
Yeah, Sun Valley. There you go. Or if you were good, fortunate enough to have a friend that had a car.
Yeah.
Then you were doing okay. But it was like Concord. Where in the heck? But then once you get there and you realize, okay, this is why we are way out here, because of what we do and what we have on board. So, but
we're not going to put these bombs near any easily accessible base.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because this happened once before. Where's the city of Clyde? I mean, a lot of people don't remember. Dang, or the if you look at the history,
original Mount Hood.
Yeah, the original Mount Hood, which didn't blow up there, but it's the same thing. Was that Port Chicago disaster or whatever they called it back then?
That was massive.
For that time. I mean, even you think about it now, if that's something like that happened now, God forbid, it'd wipe it out. It'd wipe Concord out.
It would wipe out California. Are you kidding? As the musicians change, we can either confirm or deny that. But as the munitions change, they get a little more powerful than just TNT. That's all that can be said here. But, we were on a base that had serious security for a reason. And we had Marines that were hiding like ninjas in hidden posts. And they had armored response, and they had shoot to kill orders. And they all had to have clearances. Because I interviewed that commander, which you might have heard, the Marine commander of the base.
Right.
So that was his gig. He had to make sure everybody was trained up,
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, that was you came to the ship in 1988 in Concord?
Yep. Well, that's where I was. That's where I reported to.
Okay.
That doesn't necessarily mean that the ship was there, but I
did the same thing.
I made my way. I mean, you're talking a kid from Kansas, first time in California. I'm in my uniform. I rode the BART. I rode the bus. I'm carrying my sea bag and another box.
Right.
From the airport to finding my way all the way up to Concord. I get to Concord, report there, and they tell me your ship's not here. Okay. Okay. Where is it? It's in Alameda. Where's that at?
Oh yeah.
So here I go. I'm making it, get in the bus, get back on the bus, go to the BART, find my way, all the way to the base. And I make it to the front gate, and they say, your ship's over so-and-so and so-and-so. You got to take the bus all the way, and it'll drop you off. So here I go. I'm looking for the ship. And I'm looking. All I see is big, tall buildings. And then I look up. And I'm asking somebody, hey, where's the USS Mount Hood AE-29? And they say, it's right there. So I look up, and all I see is lights going up the side of it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, surely not. That's not the way I have to carry all this stuff up. And yep. Yeah. So I hauled all my stuff up there, reported on board just in time to make lights out.
Yep.
And I got down to, by the time they got me down to deck berthing, it was dark. It was lights out already. They told me to put my stuff, here's your rack and just put your stuff right here. And then in the morning, we'll figure it out. Okay, no problem. So it's dark. I'm putting my stuff up and, trying to figure things out. And first thing, somebody hits me up. Hey man, you got an iron? Yeah. Can I borrow it?
I'll make a new friend.
Yeah. Hey. And I didn't get my iron back, I think, for a week because he didn't know who I was and I didn't know who he was.
Oh yeah. Just somebody passing in the dark.
Yeah, but I ended up getting my iron back. It was Jay Donato that borrowed my iron. He brought it back. He said, "Oh, I didn't know who you were. Here's your iron." Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, I didn't get my boondocker stolen on the first day like the other guy did.
Oh, like Kraus. Kraus was given Kraus. I told Zemer. I wonder. I gotta still talk to Zemer, but Kraus was given Zemer's boondockers, who was his LPO. Here's your aggro alpha boss, and we're going to give you his shoes, and you're going to wear them.
Funny.
You might as well.
Funny.
You might as well stole Chief Hill's boots and gave them to me, and I show up, right?
That's funny.
So we were over there in Alameda.
Yeah.
Alameda was more to do than Concord, of course, but we weren't pierside moored to the tender at that point, were we? Because there was a time we were getting our kitchen refit, getting our mess decks redone.
No, I don't think so. No,
okay.
Not that I can recall. I think we just happened to be there because normally we didn't pull into Alameda very much, and we spent a lot of pierside time in East Oakland. When we didn't have ordnance on, that's where we spent more time at, was in East Oakland.
Naval Supply Center. It looks like a huge uninhabited base.
Oh, really?
Well, there was hardly anybody ever on there when we were there. We were like a ship. There was no stores. There was no PX. There was nothing.
There was a little PX, and I remember a little PX there. And then there was a place to do laundry, and there was a credit union, but that's pretty much about it.
There was no real EM code. There's one in the far right corner of the base. That little. I mean, if you had to hoof it, it was like a 2-mile walk.
Yeah, that was the fitness center and all that kind of stuff. You go and shoot pool and eat some other kind of chow. Yeah, but that was a hike. That was.
Yeah, that was. It was like, wow, this is it. So my whole thing being there was always to escape to San Francisco, to get to the BART.
Oh yeah,
or take the ship's van to San Francisco or TI and just get over there.
Right. Yeah, I remember my first time going out to San Francisco, young 18, 19-year-old hanging out with other guys on the ship. I think I was with my other buddy that I've known for a long time now, Seaman Gauss. Shout out to Seaman Gauss.
Good old Gauss.
He's doing. Hey, I tell you what, he's doing very well for himself. He's not that guy that was on the Mount Hood. I can tell you that much. But he's doing very well.
Hard-working family man. Hard-working family man.
He, I believe he works for the post office now. Married, a wonderful woman. He lives in the Kansas City, Missouri area now. But he's doing very well for himself. But if you were on the ship the same time that we were on and you got to know Gauss, wow. So that's all I'm going to say. So it was me and I think Houston and Gauss. First time, for me going into San Francisco, they're taking me to the old bar in San Francisco called Tolls, where if you weren't 21, well, that's not really a big deal. But
no, they didn't seem to care. That was like,
No.
go ahead.
Yeah. You look 21.
Yeah, you look like a
yeah.
child, a 21-year-old child. We'll give you a beer.
Right. So I'm walking down with these guys down the street, hoofing it over there, I'm from Kansas. Well, how I dress is boots, jeans, shirt, and we're off ready to go. All of a sudden, I hear whistling. I'm looking back like, dude's whistling. I'm trying to look around to see who he's whistling at.
Where's the pretty lady that man might be pointing his direction towards? Yeah, I get it.
Right. So these guys are laughing at me and they're saying, "Hey, he's whistling at you." And I'm like, "Huh?" I tell you what, I took off running after that guy because I was going to, I don't know what I was going to do if I caught him, but I'm like, you're not whistling at me. And I did not realize these guys can run that fast. But I'm in cowboy boots, so I'm not running very fast anyway. But,
there's a good
that was my
chance
first taste of San Francisco.
It was a compliment. What can we say? If you cowboy up, that might mean something in certain bars in the leather district or something. You might have had the look and you don't know because, they have a code of the way they dress, which means I like whatever. So you could have had it. You could have been putting out a certain signal, like I'm into librarian men. Who knows? You wear the wrong thing by accident. You don't know what you could fall into, and that's.
I think I had a jean jacket on, some denim boot, denim jeans and boots, and I was out. I'm out in the town.
They're like, he goes the cowboy way.
Yeah, he's the cowboy way.
You're like, no, this isn't the East Bay where that would be understood. This means something else over here. You wore the wrong tuxedo to the prom there. But that
was just my first encounter, man. It's like, what? But hey, it is what it is,
Well, it wasn't long thereafter. It became 1989, and you were on your first Westpac. And you being from Kansas, what was it like? Did we go to Victoria first before we went over to our first Westpac? Do you recall?
No.
Okay.
My first trip was when we went on Westpac.
So our
for the first time.
port of call, I think we stopped at Hawaii first, right?
Yeah, first stop was Hawaii.
And then maybe Guam. Or not Guam that time. We went from Hawaii and we went right up to Hong Kong, I think. If I remember.
Maybe, I think so. That was 89. The year of the San Francisco earthquake is when
It was weird because I predicted it 2 days before it happened. I don't know why I did. I told somebody, I said, there's going to be earthquake in San Francisco. I was mess cooking. I go, yeah, watch. Now that we're gone, everything's calm. Now it's time for that earthquake. And I just had a feeling. And all of a sudden, everyone comes up to me, you're psychic, man. I'm like, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember when that happened. We were just getting to Hong Kong when that happened. And they gathered everybody up and everybody started listening. And what I don't know who was talking about it. But
some people had families back home. They were worried about their wives and their kids and stuff, right?
Right.
Reiner from, remember Reiner from Supply?
Yeah.
The barber, ship's barber. Well, Greg Reiner was in Treasure Island at that time watching the bridge collapse. Imagine how scary that must have been.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm putting another chapter to the story to give it context. So we're out at sea and he's watching the bridge collapse on top of those cars, killing all those people and, being stuck in the middle of Treasure Island. That must have been spooky, man. I mean, that's just God's hand,
Yeah, that first initial shock's like, whoa, something that big and massive just collapsing.
So for you being Mr. Kansas, what was it like rolling into Hong Kong the first time?
It was definitely, a sight I've never seen before, never heard of, never thinking I'd ever be there. You know,
Right.
come to find out that it was they went communist shortly after, and I think for a time we were forbidden to go back to Hong Kong.
Well, we were there under British rule before. They had like a lease on Hong Kong.
Yes.
And they were going to give it back, I think, in 90. But we went there and there was a great bar when we pulled in that catered to the sailors and Americans, kind of like an MWR bar, like kind of something like, it's not a base, but it's where all the Americans meet up. And then you go out in the city and go shopping and learn try your hand at bartering for watches or bags or whatever you're trying to buy. A lot of vendors out there, if you recall.
Oh, a lot of silk, a lot of China being shipped home from there, and fine silks.
Things that you thought you needed.
Silks. Right.
Things that you thought you needed. I mean, you're in a Bruce Lee movie now.
Fake Rolexes and all that good stuff.
Buy yourself a Rolex.
That was but it was quite exciting. I mean, and now you look on, you see in different movies and they talk about Hong Kong and the Kowloon side, and they show that, the bay, that open area of water. And you could actually say, hey, I've been there, We look back and went out. That's pretty cool.
I remember being out with Perkins and DeBordy and Sonny Bliss, I think. We were cruising around Hong Kong. And we're down, and all of a sudden these really pretty girls come up, these real beautiful British girls, like, hey, you guys going to come party tonight? We're going to be at this club. You're going to meet us at Club 5000. It's great. And I'm like, okay, we're going to meet you at Club 5000. Well, it looked like we got our night figured out. Now we just get a shot. So we just cruised around and we took a ferry over to Kowloon Bay, and we go to the Club 5000. That's just what I'm calling it. But the thing was like 10,000 square feet big. It was so huge. It was bigger than like 2 roller rinks. And there was like maybe 3 or 4 girls like 100 yards apart from you. So if you're going to walk up to ask one to dance after a few beers, they just see you like a zombie creeping across the floor. Enough time to go, I'm going to the bathroom and get away from this weird guy. But it was so expensive. It was so expensive that what we ended up doing, I remember this part for some reason. I don't know. I throw my pieces in here and there, but we were going outside. There was no insy outsy problems. We could leave the club, and there was a 7-Eleven right across the street, and we were just buying San Miguel beers there at 7-Eleven in Hong Kong and just chugging them on the side of the road, then walking back in the bar and not paying for their $14 drinks. And the only cool lady there was the DJ, but she seemed a little too highbrow for us. She was cool. She was mixing videos and playing videos and music and stuff. It was a cool concept, but they were not into the nightlife like we were. Not there, at least. So how was it for you? Did you find any good nightclubs or anything, or anything good?
No, I think we just pretty much went around to different bars and walked around the streets, not like tourists, but like, wow,
I remember
just being adventurous.
We ended up in some Hilton on the 50th story. Someone got a room for cheap, and we were all going to crash there. And we were hammered, and we had bought a shit ton of like McDonald's. And we're just sitting in the hallway, and people see all these drunk American guys with their feet, across the floor, chomping down McDonald's like a bunch of hogs, and then passing out there and waking up and back to the ship again. And soon thereafter, I think we were off to PI.
Right. I think that was our next place. And that's what they told us, were all the stories from all the salty dogs that have been to PI before. And that's, and they told us, from that point, they were like, they're going to be able to tell if it's your first time there or not. And you're thinking, yeah, right. I'll just have that look like I know where I'm at. I've been here before, and you know what? They smell you a mile away.
How far did you get down the street before you pulled into a club over there? Down McSisai.
Cross the bridge.
Yeah.
Cross Shit River.
I think that was me too. Like the first bar I came to, that big one,
Yeah.
New York, or no, New York was further down.
Yeah, New York was further down.
No,
Were you
this was
talking the
the-
right side or the left side of the road?
The Rock Tracks one. It was the one on the left.
Rock
the first
Tracks
one
was,
yeah.
yes, that was a good place.
And we stopped
That
there.
was
That's the first one. But you know what's funny? Just to talk about what was there. There was prettier girls further down, but this was like the first stop, drunk guy, whatever, I'm blind place.
Yeah.
Like that was the
Right,
bar
right.
where you would get dosed, you'd get roofied, you'd get hustled. The photographer's jumping on you. Take a picture with the lady, and you're all hammered.
Right, right.
glory
right.
and, that place is when I tried Mojo and Bullfrog, and I could pound them down. I'm like, I tell everybody that's elevator alcohol where your legs give out when you stand up.
Absolutely.
You think you're sipping on Kool-Aid, you're drinking some serious jungle juice right there,
I think
man.
we used to hang around. This hole in the wall. I think that's what we ended up calling it. I think because it literally was a bar and it had a big opening in the front, and it looked like it was a damn hole in the wall. And I think that was off to the it was off one of those side roads.
Yeah.
On the left side of Masai. But then there was like that one that you were talking about where everybody hung out at with the big rum and cokes.
Mamalitas.
Yeah. You hang around down there, and that's we'd go down there and get the big fishbowl rum and cokes. I think they were like, 50 pesos?
50 cents, man, for half a bottle of rum and a Coke.
We did the math on that one time, and I think at the time we were there, beers in town were cheaper than a soda on the ship.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like 13 cents a beer or 12 cents a beer or 11 cents a beer. But that beer was dangerous. I didn't know about it because they have the formaldehyde.
Man. Yeah.
So on an earlier podcast, Derek Grover, the corpsman, talks about how he had a guy go into respiratory arrest because too much formaldehyde can mess up your lungs if it sits in the sun too much.
Right.
So,
if you remember, that's why they had all them bars that would always compete for, we have the coldest beer on ice and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's probably why.
I had already been to Tijuana, which was a wild, raging place itself, which was just fun. I mean, the dance floor is on fire. The drinks are flying. Everybody's getting down. Well, then I get to PI, and it's got a whole different flavor, and your money goes even farther than Mexico.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you're like, wow, this is Super Sailor Discount Disco World.
And especially if you were the only ship in there, in port at the time.
Oh, you had everybody's attention.
We
somewhere in that Westpac, our rudder broke and we get stuck there for 3 months. So people like me, I don't know if you did, but you did, right? We all rented houses. We had our own apartments. We get to be we went from living in California, sleeping in a metal box with all our belongings under it in a small locker,
right?
To big timing it, having our own condos or little houses or huts or whatever. And at one point,
ironing your uniforms and everything.
Yeah, you were looking fresh and pressed at work. I mean, there wasn't a lot of running water in many cases, so there's a few times I took that cold ice bath where the girl's like, you need a shower, and pours a bucket of cold ice water on your head, and it's like electricity.
Yeah.
It's better than 10 coffees straight to the head. All of a sudden, your hangover was gone. You're like cryotherapy.
But you wouldn't trade it for nothing now.
Oh man, I mean, would you today have your wife?
We couldn't survive. We couldn't survive, right? At our age, we couldn't survive.
Well, all those chiefs are about our age. Those salty chiefs back then are our age. So I don't know.
Yeah, but they were a lot smarter. They probably
themselves.
knew the ones that had. Oh, they probably knew the ones that had warm running water.
Well, okay, so I'll tell you, I had 2 houses there. First one, I met some gal. We rented a house, but I wasn't really digging her vibe for some reason. I said, "Oh, you can have the house." I left the house. And that house had a jacuzzi tub. I had my own Jeep Me driver. I parked Jeep Me in my front lawn. You know? Yeah, I was big time, and a little bit of extra money coming in from lending money out there, a little slush fund.
Absolutely.
So I was making more money because I looked how to know when to hold them, when to fold them, and some guys would blow their cash every night. And so after that, I was like, I don't want to go. And that house I had was far out in the countryside. I'm like, why do I need to commute? So I came in near Mama Lita's. I found a townhouse that was nice, and I rented out with Yakum. And I don't know who my other roommate was. I can't think. DeBordy knows who it was. But DeBordy lived across the street from me in another house. And we'd have parties. I mean, we had a Christmas tree, and we used all chem lights on it to light it up. We had a Christmas tree in 100-degree weather with no air conditioning in our jungle house. You know what I mean? It was an adventure for a young man. And I don't know, where else did you hang other than Mama Lita's? That was like our center spot, like our early load up point. Like, I have $2. I'll party till midnight on $2.
Yeah. No, we just kind of wandered the strip, and then on occasion we'd head down to Subic Bay.
Yeah.
And do what guys do.
But did you spend much time in Barrio Barreto, or mainly like downtown Subic right off the base?
In Alongapo, and then we'd go to Subic City, down Subic, hang out down there. Every once in a while, we'd head down that way. And but for the most part, we'd once you're there for so long, we would I would hang around. It'd be at the time it was BM2 Cedillo and BM2 Gus Gonzalez.
Saltier guys. They knew their way around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I used to work with Cedillo. I eventually made my way from First Division to Stream. And, people tend to hang around with the guys that they work with, even on Liberty. So, you just become real close friends with them. And, I still talk to Cedillo. He's retired now. He's a retired chief warrant officer. He was a bosun when he retired.
He went after those khakis.
Oh yeah. And that's where he was destined to go. He was on pace to reach that goal. He did real good. I actually got to spend time with him a couple of years ago when I was on a trip for with our union up to Washington D.C. and his wife is stationed out there. So he where's he at in Virginia? So it's a couple hour drive to DC. So he got he drove to DC, and we got to spend a day or so together, and it was a good time. It was a good time.
That's pretty cool. Good time catching up and all that after all these years, right?
Oh man. Oh yeah. It's just like it's like we never parted. It's like we. It's just some sort of it's a certain brotherhood that we have formed through the years. That you get to have an opportunity to communicate with people, and rekindle those friendships and what we were a part of. We didn't know what we were actually going to be a part of when we were there.
Yeah,
and it's only until you get older and wiser and you appreciate. Looking back what we did. And, do you take some of the things you did back when you were there? Yeah, I would say so. If you could change some things, yeah, I would say so. But for the most part, you don't regret very much. But yeah, maybe you treated some of the people there not the way you'd probably treat them now. But that all comes with time, and you get older and more mature, and you look at things differently and situations differently, but there's definitely times when you're on board that you're going to have to be that way to make people do what you need to get done. And like Cedillo used to tell me, sacrifices must be made, you know, and you don't understand that then, because all you're seeing is, damn, I got to do what? Do you see what time it is?
Yeah.
And hey, you know what?
Wants versus needs. You know what I mean?
That's it. I still use that to this day. Wants versus needs.
Yeah. When you're young, you're chasing your wants, but you don't really sit there and slowly slow your roll and go, you know, I don't really need that. That's a want. I'll be over it in 5 minutes. Why am I being so impulsive? And, you know, you look at it now, like you're saying, the other day I woke up, I had to go meet up with Hillebrand, and I was like, dude, I was just dreaming about the podcast, or I was in Hilo or something. You know, I don't know. I was in the island. I was in this weird lucid dream. He goes, that's strange. I had a dream the podcast get turned into a movie. And I go, you know, I'm just telling you this right now because this came to my head. And I go, yeah, it could be. I kind of want to turn it into a documentary one day. But I was sitting there going, you know, what would be a cool movie? And the cool movie of the Mount Hood would be where we all got, like 5 or 6 or 7 of us got back in from different divisions, got into a time machine and got put back on the Mount Hood, and you got to change your course of life. What would you do differently with your knowledge today? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Isn't that a cool idea? You want to watch that movie, don't you?
You know what? Yeah. Who would play you?
Yeah.
How about that question? Who would play you?
I have no idea. Val Kilmer got fat, so did I, so he can't play me now. I can't play him.
Let's see. Who would play Mark Hillebrand? I'm thinking maybe a younger version of Patrick Swayze.
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, because the Point Break thing with the surfing and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, just take the knockoff right off the top. It's funny because this happened the other day. I thought about it because someone put this Val Kilmer thing up there, and I used to have the same kind of physique and similar facial features. And I was wearing my Wayfarers, which he wore in that movie Top Gun. And I had a very insecure ex-wife in the Navy. And we go into the video store in Santa Clara, and these girls walk up. They're like, oh my gosh, you look just like Val Kilmer. She's like, don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. It'll go to his head. Don't say another word. I'm like, okay, I guess not. I guess it's fake. But I never had that arrogance. Like I really thought that, you know, but just not just that part, you know, if you remade that movie, like, okay, now I'm not going to marry this girl. Now I'm not going to get drunk tonight. Now I'm not going to go. I'm going to sidestep a captain's mast, and I'm going to get rank faster. And then I'm going to take charge here, but I'm going to pick a different career path. Maybe I'm going to become a diver, or maybe I'm going to become an officer. You know, that would, for enlisted guys, it's the enlisted guys that go back. I think the officers did what they don't have a fantasy about going back to become a, you know, E3 in deck.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, some of them guys had some days where they wish they were enlisted.
Probably. I mean, it's like,
I've talked to a few.
Well, it's kind of like, it's kind of like hacking the system. You go back, you know, you got a hardcore bosun or you got a hardcore Chief Hill, and you're like, okay, I am going to circumvent all your objections. I already know what makes you mad and what doesn't. I'm going to make myself bulletproof. You're going to say something, and I'm going to have the answer.
Yeah. My first one was, my first encounter when I was out there actually on deck doing work. I'm looking over on the main deck, and we're painting. I think we're deck washing. Mm-hmm. And Bosun Johnson's looking across the deck. He's talking. I forget who he's talking with. It might have been Senior Chief Hides. But his first words to me was, "You got a holiday. You got a holiday." And I'm looking at like, I got a holiday. I don't know what a holiday means. Vacation?
Yeah. Where's my vacation? Yay, what's the holiday? Is there some
I'm like, I got a holiday? I'm thinking to myself, okay, I got a holiday. I don't know what day it is, but he comes over and he goes, "Look at that fucking holiday." Oh, that's what, okay, I see it. I didn't realize it in in sailor terms, that was, you got thin paint right there, and you need to go over that again.
Call that a holiday, and then if you rushed your job, it was called gun decking.
Yeah, it was called gun decking. But if you took a long shower, it was a Hollywood shower. But these are things you learn as you move along. It's like, okay, I know bulkhead, I knew deck. You know what a deck was. I knew what the head was. But you don't learn holiday, until Boatswain Johnson tells you what holiday is. Oh, okay, gotcha.
You talk about the Hollywood, the Hollywood shower. I mean, sorry to cut you off, but I've not talked about the shower. People don't know what kind of showers we had in all these podcasts. Everybody who's a civilian doesn't know what kind of showers we had. We had this thing on a rubber hose, and you go into this little steel stall, and you press down on it, and you have to just get yourself all wet. Then you soap yourself up. Then you get then you rinse yourself off. It's not a constant shower, so it was like hot, freezing cold, hot, and it was crazy. And they didn't want. So to keep the water allotment even, enough drinking water, enough steam for the engine, all that stuff, we were not allowed to have just long, free-running 10, 15-minute showers. We were supposed to be in and out of there in 60 or 90 seconds or 2 minutes or something?
Well, you didn't have very long. Maybe 3 minutes.
If you're lucky. If you were smart, now did you know how to make the special device?
I can't tell you what absolutely, man.
The special device, I'm just leaving it out there in the air. Like, what is that in the shower? No, what it is
if you knew what you were doing, you could hook it up.
You would take the clamps from the shower curtain, and you would pull them apart, and they had enough tension on them to keep that button compressed in, and then you would hang the shower head, and it would just run steady, and you wouldn't have to pull it up and down.
Right.
Otherwise, it's kind of like having an old phone. It's like a telephone. Okay, spray myself with the telephone. Okay, put soap on, spray myself again.
Right. Well, there was certain ones that if they got wore out just enough that you could push the button in and it would kind of get cocked sideways inside there and it would stay on.
Oh yeah, that was the other one. But the officers had free flowing water because they had paid the price to have higher privileges and a higher paycheck.
Right.
And they had their own. We would live in a berthing. How many guys lived in your berthing in your, sleeping area?
In deck? Shoot. Yeah. I couldn't even tell you. I know there was a lot.
Wasn't it like 100 people or 150 people in deck or something?
Yeah, right around there. Yeah.
That's a lot of dudes.
Yeah, right around there. That's a lot in one area, in one space.
When you're around that many people and you get to know them, it's a trip. That's a huge family. That's a straight tribe.
Yeah. Right. We're a gang.
Yeah, you are. Or you section off.
It would get to a point. It would get to a point where you couldn't go to another berthing if you weren't from that berthing department. They'd run you off like you're in the wrong neighborhood, bud. I couldn't go to ops berthing and hang out, and unless you had somebody there that you knew and you were cool with, then you might be accepted. But you can go to weapons berthing and hang out there. And there's certain people that got those privileges, but mainly if you were in deck, you stayed right there with deck.
I was pretty smooth, man. I didn't hang out in deck. I'd go grab my buddy, go grab Perkins from there, or I'd go see Bliss and Supply. And, I had a BT friend or two, and it's like, it just, we'd all meet up and meet me on the signal bridge. And I had the coolest office on the ship. I ain't gonna lie, man. I mean,
what a view.
the best view, the best place to hang out, the best view of the ship. And it was like only
best place to skate. Nobody would see you there.
There was only I think 8 or 9 of us signalmen. And, some people were downstairs. Chief was in the chief's mess, first class in the first class mess. 1 or 2 of us hanging out. It was a lot of space to yourself as opposed to deck. You were sharing a lot of little space with a lot of people more so, I think. That was
unless you hung out up in First Division, which, there's a few people that hung out up there.
Yeah.
You know, hell, I think Sperry slept up there for the most part.
He had his own little private condo.
Oh yeah. There's people, you know, that had a little space down in the sail loft, up front. You know, everybody had their little space, you know, where
People
you knew
would
where they
pick
were.
They would make their little condo, like Teresi said he had some place with a door with you know, locked off, and he could go in this little space and just have his own place to hang out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know the one?
Have somebody hook you up and lock it up, and you can lock it from the inside. Yeah, oh yeah, I knew where that was. He didn't think I knew, but yeah, I knew where it was. There was several hiding spots like that. Oh yeah, but you got to get away just for your own mental state. You got to get away. You're just around people all day. You just want your own little serenity, your own little room. You know, even if it's there, you're there for, you know, an hour. You got to get somewhere to get away from things. You know.
You definitely needed that. I mean, you have all these people in your face, especially when you're junior, like we were when we showed up there. Yeah. Everybody above you is your boss, and they can all yell at you. And depending at their level of interest or dislike of you will depend on how much hell you catch from them, right?
Right.
But if you didn't stand out, you learned to be the gray man and kind of be haze gray and disappear into the background. That's when it was smooth, you know?
Yeah, well, I didn't have that ability. I was just kind of one of those guys that, you know, I'm always at the wrong place at the wrong time. There's like work to be done and, you know, whatever. You know, you hang around the stream shop and first guy, hey, come in. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Oh, damn it.
Well, you work construction, so I guess hard work was not too much of a shift for you. I mean, having done construction prior to entering, right?
Right. But
you
it was fun.
You excel down there in deck. I mean, what did you like about doing unreps and stuff like that?
Well, I learned real quick that you don't always just want to be the rigger. You know, the guy that's constantly, you know, slinging up the, you know, the whatever we're doing. You know, whether it be, you know, just you know, we're loading bombs or fuel or stores. You don't always want to be the guy that's rigging stuff. You know, that's more, you know, that was really labor intense. You know, you want to learn to, you know, maybe be communications where you're on the sound powered phones or you're the signalman. But I learned real quick. I wanted to be in charge of the rig. I wanted to be the rig captain. So that's what I set my goal. And eventually I became rig captain. And then for a short time, I was rig captain for our special weapons. And that was pretty intense where they do background checks on you and you know, not everybody qualified for that. So, I mean, to be on that, what we called handling Team Delta at the time, that was pretty cool too, you know, but knowing what you're being the rig captain for, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, you think back, man, this is you know, this is a special weapon.
Special.
I don't know what makes this weapon special, but it looks like it could probably do some damage.
Yeah. It could get rid of a few enemies pretty quickly.
Oh, golly, yes.
By the hundreds of thousands, perhaps. Yeah.
I remember, I think we went up alongside the Ranger when we were offloading some of those. And then we ended up, I think we went to the Philippines with them.
Yeah.
But, and then we went, and this was during Desert Storm. I remember, I think we were in the Philippines loading up when we got the call over the radio from, or over the 1MC actually, that we were going to be involved in Desert Shield and Desert Storm and all that.
Yep.
So that was pretty interesting time, I guess, for us as a crew. I think you could see a change in the crew where you've seen a lot more people coming together. And I think this is an honest statement that we have never worked so hard in our lives.
Yeah.
Than at that time. But we knew at the time what our purpose was. Because most of the time you didn't know, why are we doing this? This is all just repetitive and this and that. And why do we got to keep cleaning this stuff? And well, it's in all preparation for what our main goal is, as a ship. And that's to supply weapons, We're supplying weapons and fuel.
Well, if you recall, before we set out, before you get that message in PI, that was our last stop before our ride into the Persian Gulf. We knew we were going to war. And I had a little pre-party in my little apartment in Union City. And then we went back up to Concord. And I remember the train, it looked like 100 train cars of munitions fit into the belly. 100 train cars long, like miles of train cars fit into the belly of that damn ship. And then you guys had to play like Rubik's Cube, putting them all in these stanchions and stuff and locking them up where the gunner's mates did. So
I remember we had the whole 01 level was full of the fins, for the weapons. All those everything had to be tied down. I remember we were working 12-hour shifts. And then the day we pulled out, I remember exactly that I was married to my first wife a month.
I think I was about 2 months in or something of marriage.
Yeah.
I'm not married to her anymore.
Yeah, ditto. I'm not either.
We're not married to them. They were our temporary. Those were our practice wives because we didn't know that getting married at 20, 21 years old was a smart idea. We thought it was it's like making rank. You become a petty officer.
I'm going to give my LPO props for that because I should have listened to him. What are you doing getting married? Because I remember the day I got married, I had watched the day before, and I got off duty and I went that Saturday and got married. And I remember. I think it was Zemer.
Probably Zemer giving you some sage advice. He's a smart guy.
Yeah. I should have listened to it. I should have listened to him. I did listen to his podcast. I did.
That guy's a friggin' wizard, and boy, does he have some recall. That guy is sharp. You know?
Yep.
That's, more compliments for you, Zemer. Hope they make your day.
Yeah. That guy is definitely sharp. He was always learning or teaching somebody something. He was rough at times, but you know what? You have to be. I mean, you're dealing with 20-year-olds, you're dealing with 19-year-olds, and that don't want to learn, that don't want to be motivated. But you got to find a way to motivate them, and if not, guess what? You're going to find a way to motivate them. That's just the way it is.
They get motivated
for sure. That's just the way it is. And I remember getting my ass kicked a couple of times. I mean, not like, a hate type of ass whooping. It's an ass whooping that, hey, damn it, come on, let's get with it, And that's to be expected, He held us to a higher standard because of the department that we worked in, and they expected excellence. And, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with pushing somebody to their abilities.
Well, that's why we get the Battle E, and, Bosun and Zemer both believe that was like the crown, at least from what I understand, it's like one of their crowning achievements. And, Zemer gives great credit to Bosun, but Bosun also gives huge credit to Zemer. He's like, man, I couldn't have done it without him. And it's like, that's the perfect team. And that's the weird thing. When you come out of it, you were just doing your job. You didn't even, because it wasn't a football game, because we weren't on national television, because we weren't given a Grammy or an Emmy. You didn't know that
we came out with our lives. We came out with our lives, and we were on a world stage. we weren't the big shiny aircraft carriers that had the airplanes on it and the admirals and all that. But you know what? We played a vital role in getting the mission accomplished.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I would say 1/5 of the munitions dropped in that war were primarily coming off the aircraft carriers, giving off people like our ships. Like we were, some people accomplish some really cool special forces missions. They go for is the tip of the spear, the bad guy on top, the Osamas or whatever. But when you go after an army and all that stuff, the ground did not really have to get engaged very minutely compared to any war in history,
Right.
Because what we did in conjunction with the carriers, that's what really shut it down. And the Air Force, I'm sure, played a vital role as well. Not taking all the credit, just trying to be, pointing that out, that us serving up those bombs, loading up the guns so the guys could fire the cannons on a 24-hour rotation. That's what did it,
Yep.
You guys, I don't know how many unreps we did while we were there. Probably sometimes 2 or 3 in a day,
I know we were well over 150. We were up there.
Wow.
We were up there. I mean, we did it. I remember doing, bright and early before the sun even came up. We were already on station.
Right.
And, I remember we were doing 22-hour days, 18-hour days, just nonstop. Yeah. But, that's what had to be done. That's what had to be done.
That was some serious work, and there was no overtime. And
no, we were actually almost getting paid minimum wage, though.
Minimum wage to put your life on the line to handle the most dangerous stuff in the world in a very dangerous thing with other guys that are not a bunch of Stanford scientific graduates here. And you had to learn how to shine a rock. Take a guy that wasn't necessarily top of the class in anything and make him a functional, high performance machine in the time of need,
Right.
That was all the motivation and leadership that really helped pull that through.
When it come down to it, everybody knew what job and what role they had in anything, whether it be, seeing anchor detail or running Liberty boats, or any of that. Everybody knew their job. So, I mean, you gotta give our, our leadership, props for that. They're the ones that prepared us for it. We got, Chief Stafford up front. We had BMC Brooks in the back, and, then we had the stream guys. Well, you weren't getting off the ship without stream. We had to do the ACOM ladders or the quarterdeck. So, yeah. So that, everybody had their job, and we all did it well. You think back on it now. Yeah, you think back on it now, and you're like, wow, as dysfunctional as we looked, when it comes down to it, we all played a vital role in that shit. We all have our own different stories and our own different takes on things that happened on board. A lot of people, this was their only ship they'd been to. You had several people that come off different other ships, and various type of ships that brought a lot of experience, to our ship. But
everything,
a lot of
everything.
people, yeah.
It wasn't just deck. We got the C award too for communications. So I didn't get this. I didn't get this later until I understood it from Zemer. That basically that ship, you do your job probably 5 times more than you do it on other types of ships. Not necessarily all, but on most other ships do not, really experience that level of workload in their rating, especially as a bosun's mate or a gunner's mate or a gunner's mate on a battleship. You probably do some serious shit, but but as far as like unrepping and loading and all that,
we were a bosun mate ship. If you wanted to learn your job, then that's the ship you needed to be on.
Well, the consequence of that as a signalman, I would do semaphore probably 5 or 6 times more than the average ship because we were rigged up. We were unrepping.
Yeah, we were unrepping.
So the Mountain Hood would do 150 unreps. That's 150 ships we talked to. But the other ships, they just hooked up to us 5 times. So it's their 5 times to my 150. You see what I'm saying? And same to you on other unreppers, right? Except the guys on the other AEs and AORs, right? I mean, they probably kick some ass too. Not taking anything away from anybody, right? So I don't know. I think it was just a great experience, man. There was some scary stuff there. We can go into that another time, but
there's plenty.
Who were some? Yeah, we could do that. Who were some of your favorite buddies that, like you were telling me, Cedillo, right? And
I had no favorites. I hated everybody equally.
Sure.
There's a lot of people. I mean, we just various times of, of your time on board. I mean, geez, Cedillo, you need to get him on board with the podcast. I'll hook you up.
Send him to me.
I'll set that.
Hook it up.
I'll set that up. Yeah, I'll set that up. Let's see here. I mean, I used to hang around with Sohn, for a time.
Hung out with him recently. Yeah. Hung out with him too. Live with him. It was strange. Yakum, I don't know how we became buddies, but we just did.
Yakum and Ito and,
maybe that's why. He was up sniffing around the ops area to meet Ito, who he later is still with, actually, I hear.
Yeah. Well, I think Ito would come down to the stream shop to smoke.
Okay.
Let's see who else. Geez. I had a list of names I had in my head. I mean, and I was like, I'll give a shout out to him. Hillebrand for a little while. We would hang out. And that's a whole nother story too.
Well, you can always come back, my friend. We've got a good podcast going and wrap it up in like another 5-10 minutes. We've done good. I mean, it's been a unique and rich story. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Geez. I remember hanging out with Zemer, at his place, in Concord. Heck, Gauss not Gauss. Well, Gauss might have hung out there maybe, but I know Sohn did for a little while.
You had Sohn and Sterry in your division, right?
Yeah. When I was up front, in first division, yeah. And then I went from there to stream. I actually had to request to go to stream. That's where I knew I was going to, learn about unrep and all that kind of stuff, because I was up front. And you learn about seeing anchor detail, dropping the anchors, and things like that. And I wanted to learn more about the Boatswain Mate rate in unrep and things like that. How to set up for different replenishments, whether it be fuel or ammunition. Just different. There's different rigs. It depended on what ship we were going up against, and that would determine on how we're setting up our rig station.
It was it was pretty much a competition, right? Every time.
Well, we had to, if we're going up to a smaller ship, a lot of times they don't have the equipment that is necessary to do a certain underway replenishment, whether it be sending them fuel or ordnance. We might have to send a whole rig over to them. And a lot of times you see them guys over there with, we have winches. They're pulling it in by hand, the rig to seat maybe the, our fuel probe, to receive fuel. And it's just because that's the way their ship was set up.
You kind of had to dumb down and accommodate.
Exactly. We had to, fit the way we set up our station based off of what kind of ship we were running up against.
Makes sense.
So it was definitely interesting, and there's a lot of that behind the scenes type of stuff that you don't realize until you think back. Oh wow, that's why we did that. But and you make sure when you're the rig captain, you make sure you check your rig once, twice, 3 times over and make sure that everything is there and everybody is where they need to be.
Oh, for sure.
So, because that's the last thing we wanted. It was somebody getting hurt.
Oh, that's cool.
But I appreciate you having me on, man.
Oh, for sure, cool. Man. It was a good podcast. It was a good warm up. I mean, I think
it's a good thing you're doing.
First hour and a half, we were trying to get it started, so it would have been twice as long.
Well, me and this technology stuff, we just don't get along so well. I'm learning though.
It's not so easy. I mean, let me explain this to you. Getting a podcast out, first you have to educate everybody over 45 years old what a podcast is, because most people have already picked their mediums. They like VCRs and TVs and 8-track players. They're not
the funny thing is I can run a $1 billion piece of equipment at work.
Right.
But I can't set up a damn podcast to do this for nothing. It took me forever. It took me one laptop, 2 cell phones, and an hour and a half.
Well, I wouldn't say it's all your fault. There was a little faulty wiring, I think, on the computer. It's not on you. That wasn't because the computer was working in theory, but it is what it is. But man, I mean, anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Let's see here. How about, I think I went through this. I think, Zemer, Boatswain Johnson, give a shout out to my old chief. I think he's in California, isn't he?
Which one?
BMC.
BMC.
Oh my gosh! Now I'm just drawing a blank.
That happens. You talking about Stauffer? You talking about Chief Stauffer?
There you go. Yes.
Yeah, he lives. He lives near me. Gordy lives near me, and
Gordy lives near you. Okay, shout out, Chief. He's one hell of a guy. I know he's from. I think he's originally from Michigan. If I do remember correctly. Well, same place as Hildebrand. Hildebrand's from Michigan.
That's good.
Yakum, if he's out there, and Ito, and of course the Cadlicks. I see they're pretty active on Facebook, and Terry Krause is active on Facebook. I think I've seen Franco. I think I've seen him out there. It's Clayton Gauss and Roger Sohn. Ronnie Boatman, if your crazy ass is out there, what's going on, dude? And
a boatswain's mate named Boatman. Yeah. We had him. Yeah. We had him on twice because he sure talks a lot of smack. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Let's hope he grows out of that.
He's always talking about how he's going to do karate chops and some ninja moves. Nah, he's a good dude. I hung out with him when I first got on the ship. We had some wild nights.
Right. Yeah, I did too.
I did too. Get to play grown up at Bouncer's Bar and Tolls and all those places.
All the good places.
Oh yeah. We can talk about the good places another time, but thanks for being on, and check us out on Facebook. Check us out under AEC Stories on Facebook. Please give us a review on Podbean and follow us on Podbean. It helps us get more hits. It's AEC Stories on Podbean.com. And also on, if you can, iTunes, it would be great. Any good reviews that you can add. And, hey, share this with your friends. We appreciate all you people tuning in. We've got a global audience. It's international. Hell, there's people in the Ukraine and China listening to this, and you would never guess that. Yeah, they want to hear your story, man. Like, who was that guy that came through my town with those, those bell bottoms on? They want to know.
Tore it up. We tore it up. But hey, man, like I said, I love what you're doing. Keep up the good work, man. And, hey, all you Mount Hood guys, I know there's some more guys out there. Pat, Sip, Rich Williams, all you guys. It was a pleasure serving with you guys, and I wish you guys nothing but the best. And take care, and God bless you guys.
Happy Veterans Day. Happy Veterans
Day.
In unison, we were supposed to sing that in time. And Happy Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day. In unison, we were supposed to sing that in time.